Thank you, Miss Anselo. Just a slight delay. So, in the fall of 1950, Joe Schulte came here as a young 12-year-old freshman and basically been here ever since. So I first really got to know Mr. Schulte last year when I was doing work grant in the theater. And one day he said to me, "Thomas, why don't you do poetry out loud next year? I think you'd be good at it." So I said yes, and he was my poetry coach up through the St. Louis regional competition 2 weeks ago. I never knew how much work could be put into performing poetry. He invested countless hours and late nights after rehearsal into my performance, but that didn't seem to bother him, all that commitment. In fact, he enjoyed helping me to get better. When you work on a poem or a script or whatever it is with Mr. Schulte, first he has you memorize it, and then you go through line by line, word by word, to make sure you understand every word that you're saying. In fact, we spent about 2 hours on one poem one afternoon, just making sure that I knew everything that was going on in each line. Because the point is that, in the end, you're not performing a piece, you're sharing a story. You become the voice of the author. And really, in a word, that's what Mr. Schulte is. He's a storyteller. He loves to tell stories about his family, about all the years that he's been here as a teacher, about his former students, about shows that he's seen. And not only does he share his stories with us, but he teaches us to tell stories. That's what he gets us to do on this stage. He likes to say that enthusiasm is caught and not taught. He has an attitude of loving what he does. He really enjoys his work. And that attitude is contagious. It has spilled over into me and into this whole cast, the love of what we do here every day. So, Mr. Schulte, on behalf of the cast, before I hand this off to Luke, I'd like to say thank you so much for teaching us to use our bodies and our voices to tell stories, to find the beauty in every day, and to serve and bring joy to other people. Thank you.
First of all, I think you're finding out it's not just me, but it's a group of people larger than the city of River City, Iowa. Okay? Because it takes a lot of people to put one of these shows together, and I thank all of them and all of the crew and the orchestra down below and the people who sewed the costumes and the people who painted the scenery and everybody. It's a thrilling time when it works, and that's exciting. One of the reasons that I read a number of years ago in an article about why do you teach theater and do plays with high school students, or with any student, and it's to get them not only to express and use their talents, but sometimes they learn they can live beyond endings. And for me, doing musicals is ending. And I hope I can live beyond it. So thank you very much for coming. Thank you for encouraging me all this time. God bless you, the audience. And God bless everybody like you. It's been a great journey. A great, great, great journey. May you enjoy stories the rest of your life, and may these people enjoy telling them, because that's what we do. God bless you, and God bless them. Thank you.
Man, that was quite a show. I mean, such talented young people and all the people that worked with them. 76. You know, he said, will you say something about Joe Schulte? Say something about Joe Schulte. I don't know. I mean, there's so many people that could say something about Joe Schulte. I mean, there's thousands of people that could say something about Joe Schulte. I'm sure that there's probably a theater full of people that could say something about. Have you ever had one of those moments when you want to say something meaningful, but you're nervous about it, so you keep dreaming about it because it's not going so well, and then you wake up. You wake up. So yeah, this is. Well, I mean, I think maybe there. Hang on a second. I gotta wake up. Oh, hold on. Oh, this is live. Oh, wow. So I need to say something about Joe Schulte. Now I'm nervous because this is real. Well, let's see. Joe teaches everybody to kind of master control on juggling. So maybe what I'll do. The juggle, right? I mean, look at it, huh? What do you say about Joe Schulte? Well, I can remember the first time I heard his name. I was coming to SLUH about a decade ago, and a friend of mine, who happens to be a Jesuit, who's a graduate of the school, said, "That's great, you're going to SLUH." And the first words out of his mouth are, "You need to meet Joe Schulte." You know who Joe Schulte was? But I came here, and there's all these people you're meeting, thousands and thousands of people. And so I can't say in the early days that I remember much about who Joe Schulte was, but I know somewhere in my second month, people came to me and said, "We're going to do this theater dedication, and it's named for Joe Schulte." Oh, that name rings a bell. And I think I've been here 50 days, and he's been here 50 years. So I had to come up with something to say. It's kind of a moment like right now. It's pretty hard to do. And it was later in that first year that I learned where pro wrestling happened in St. Louis at the Coruscant Room, because there was this dinner over there for the St. Louis Arts Educator of the Year, and his name was Joe Schulte. And it was the first of an unbelievable set of dinners that I got to go to with him, riding on his coattails for all he's done for so many years here. Well, I also remember the night of that theater dedication and there's some people here. He pulled me up on stage and had me stand between two guys throwing bowling ball pins right by my ears. They're here tonight. I saw them. About 7 years ago, I had a trip in Los Angeles, and I thought, wouldn't it be fun to get together with a few guys from St. Louis SLUH if they ever wanted to get together? And I said, "Joe, will you go with me? Will you go to Los Angeles?" He said, "I'd love to go." That's one of my all-time favorite stories. Of course, I had rented this little room for about 2 hours at a hotel. And Joe spent some time calling guys, and I was thinking if we could get just a few to show up, that'd be great. I forget what we had, 60 or 80. But on one of the phone calls from a man from the class of 1963, the phone call went something like this. "Hey, Steve, this is Joe Schulte from St. Louis SLUH. we're having that get-together. Did you get the invitation? We'd love to see you. And Steve said, Joe Schulte, my high school math teacher? Yeah. You're still alive? As I said, we rented that room from 6 to 8, and I left about 12:45 from the bar, because I had to go to bed. And there were still a dozen guys who knew and loved Joe Schulte. Joe Schulte's laugh. Who doesn't know Joe Schulte's laugh? We're going to practice that, because I think you all know Joe Schulte's laugh. So I'm going to go like this. And then this is audience participation time. Ready? When I go like this, I want to hear some imitations of Joe Schulte's laugh. Ready? Oh, that's good. Hang on to that, though. Hang on to that. You know, one day I was sitting in my office a few years ago, and we have this award we give called the Backer Award here on the Backer campus. Of course, we already have the Schulte Theater on the Backer campus, and I was looking at this description. It's the highest honor we can give to one of our alumni. And I asked, has Joe Schulte received that award? And they said, not yet. I said, well, he has now. We had the head of the muni, we had family, friends, neighbors. We even had lunch on the stage that day. It was a great moment for me to recognize this great man. Joe Schulte. I've been on a Kairos retreat with him, and I can't say much, but he gives a wonderful lecture about God. Joe Schulte. You got to meet Joe Schulte. I got to go to another great dinner and theater performance at the Rep here in St. Louis, when they gave their first Lifetime Achievement Award to Joe Schulte. I've been to so many incredible plays here in the Schulte Theater on this stage. That advice I got so many years ago, you got to meet Joe Schulte, has been a real privilege and a blessing for me, and I meant what I said. There's a theater full of people who could talk about Joe Schulte. There's a universe full of people who could talk about Joe Schulte. I talked about Los Angeles. Let me go from sea to shining sea. Because one time I got to go see a Broadway show with Joe Schulte. It was Sister Act. He knew one of the women in the show. I think she graduated from Koryezu. And it was a wonderful show. And afterwards, we took our playbill and we went outside and we got in this line on Broadway. You stand in line with your playbill and people try to get an autograph from the actors and actresses. And as we were standing in that line, I don't exactly remember how it happened. Did I say on Broadway? And somebody opened the door, and we were maybe 15 deep in a line of hundreds. And somebody who was a part of the show walked out and said, "Joe, you're here?" And opened the stage door and said, "Hey, Joe Schulte's here. Joe Schulte!" And people came out of the door. We got pulled out of the line. Shuffled past the whole line, past security, and backstage where one of Joe's former students here was calling the show. But there was a man from Illinois who had nothing to do with St. Louis U High that Joe had known through professional theater in the area. Joe has had a gift, continues to have a gift to meet people, to see in them talent maybe they don't even see in themselves, to draw it out. He's been an unbelievable math teacher, which he hasn't done for some time, and obviously had an unbelievable impact in theater. But beyond math, and beyond acting, and singing, and dancing, and choreography, and all the stuff I don't even know that goes into a show like this, Joe's maintained those relationships. He's helped people see gifts from God that they've had inside themselves. And he's helped them to grow those gifts, to share them with others, and kept in touch with them throughout the years. What I remember most so far about my relationship with Joe Schulte is that when I'm with those people, the reminiscing isn't about these wonderful shows. It's about their families. It's about a moment here at high school or on the stage where they grew, sometimes where Joe made a tough call and had to get after him a little bit. But Joe's also led, if you know him, for all of us with that priority found in his family. I never had the privilege of meeting his late wife, Judy, but I feel like I know her because I've heard so many stories about her. And his kids, Joe, Katie, Michael, and Dan, did I get them right? And all the grandkids, always at the tip of his lips. We've been so fortunate and continue to be fortunate to have Joe help us as part of God's family at SLUH, but he's always showed us first that love and commitment in the family that is his. And that family's given us a real gift for many years. So, I know I heard it snowing, be short, that's too late. I thought what I might do is end with a song that some of you are going to know generationally, and some of you are not. But you're participating in it, just in case you don't know. You'll know when it's your part. I'm so glad we had this time together, just to have a laugh. Or see a show. Seems we just get started, and before you know it, comes the time we have to say, hey Joe, we'll see you next week, lining up the next rep theater visit. Joe, we'll see you in an acting class helping out with the kids. Joe, we'll see you around the halls of the U-High. We love you, thank you, and may God continue to bless you.
This is my youngest son. You don't want to get to know him too well because he's a policeman here in the city of St. Louis. And a number of years ago, he was in this show. Matt, where are you, Matt? Where's little Matt? Young Matt. Matt, he was Winthrop. So Matt, you'll grow up, okay? So, and I just thought I have, as Mr. Laughlin said, I have 4 children. My son Joe was here the other night with his family in from Chicago. And I have a daughter who lives in rural Vermont. That's a redundant statement. And of course they couldn't, and I have another son who lives with his family down in Texas. And I love them all. Dan's the only one here. He takes care of me wonderfully. By the way, the laundry needs to be done by Wednesday. He does come over. My children have decided that I don't go up and down stairs. And as you see, I have a walker now. I don't need it all the time, but when I'm doing spaces and around crowds is when I use it. And but he comes over and does my laundry. He does some shopping for me and a lot of other things that I need to have done around the house. So he's a wonderful son. And actually all of them are wonderful, but he's the only one that's, as he said, well, it's my turn, I guess, because I'm the only one here. So I want to thank him for taking care of me. And he's here tonight with his family, and with two kids that I love to take to the movies. Next Sunday evening, I'll probably be the only people at the Academy Awards party that I go to that's seen all of those animated films that have been made, because I take my grandkids all the time. So have fun and enjoy life, and please go home and be safe. God bless you all again.